So, President Vladimir Zelensky met with President Trump and Vice President Vance today in the Oval Office in DC. And it was interesting to say the least. A lot of videos to go over with it, a lot of details to talk about, a lot of people reacting. X, this is all anybody's been talking about X all day, is the meeting between Zelensky and Trump. And also, Vance spoke up a good bit too. So, we're going to go into all the details. Before we get into anything, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow my other channels too if this is content you enjoy. So let's just jump right into it. So AP News writes right here, President Trump and Vice President Vance called Zelensky disrespectful in an Oval Office meeting as the Ukraine leader asked for U.S. security commitment. So a little misleading. J.D. Vance didn't call it. It was Trump. He did say it. But let's just dive into everything. So this is basically what the idea of how the mainstream media is covering this. So let's start with the beginning. Trump introduces Zelensky to the White House, makes a little joke.
Pretty close. How are you? Pretty shut.
He's all dressed up today.
President Trump, what's your message to Vladimir Putin, sir?
Obviously trolling him a little bit there. Zelensky's known for wearing the exact same thing all the time, it seems like. People constantly say that he should be wearing suits, especially when he's meeting other political leaders. I agree it is more professional. I don't think it's the end of the world, but it does come off a little like, I don't really care what's going on here. Like, you need to show at least a little sign of respect. So this is where it gets definitely heated between Trump and Zelensky. So
Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak-
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
yeah, from the start, it was definitely just heated between Trump and Zelensky. Here's more of it right here. This is where J.D. Vance starts basically jumping in. Wrong video. So this is where more of it comes in.
Start from the beginning. Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean, and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position to
this question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I was about
You
to
don't
say
have the
that.
cards right now. With us, you start having
I'm not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with the
the
lives
president
of
in
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
think about?
gambling.
So basically, what Trump is saying here, this is a war that they can't win, which they really can't. I mean, I'm not saying like we should all like giving up on Ukraine means you're pro-Russia. It does not mean that at all. At the end of the day, this is a war we should have never been involved with to begin with. This is a war between two countries that don't affect us at all. And that's what Trump and many conservatives' whole mindset's been about this. Like it's really unfortunate what Ukraine's going through, and that no country should be invaded the way they're being invaded. But it's not the best interest of our tax dollars to be funding it, and it's not right. And it doesn't seem like either side really wants it to end. Like Putin says he does, Zelensky says he does, but it doesn't seem like they're even trying to end it. It seems like it's just never ending. And obviously, Zelensky, for the past 2.5 years, however long it's been, has been able to just come to the White House, and Biden basically just writes a blank check because Biden didn't even know what was going on. So it's definitely a different White House now. He can't just come in just expecting money or expecting weapons or anything like that. And that's basically the mindset of Trump. You can't just walk in here and act like you own the place and that we just have to give you what you want. It doesn't work that way. So this is where J.D. Vance starts to chime in.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
So yeah, he's basically, JD Vance is trying to say that a lot of this seems like you're just going around spreading propaganda, which is really weird. Like this person says, this is effing disgraceful, lecturing a man who has been leading a country through a war, a nation torn apart by a brutal dictator, fighting for its homeland with blood. I'm not American, but I'm embarrassed on their behalf. So someone who's not American is embarrassed for Americans. But as I comment here, he's coming to America and begging for money after, this is a lot of things people forget about, he campaigned for Kamala last year. Like, I think everyone forgot that happened. And then also, in the middle of this brutal war, he was able to pose for Vogue magazine. How do you have time to do that when you care so much about this war going on? You have time to do a whole photo shoot with an American magazine company? Like, that's what a lot of people don't take this stuff seriously. If you're really a leader and it's fighting for your country because you're being invaded, you're going to be there the whole time. Like, it seems like a lot of times he just wants attention and the power. And I don't know, the whole thing just seems fake, odd. It doesn't seem like he's even taking it serious. And then he even said himself, I think like a month ago, he's only gotten like half the funds that was promised to him from the Biden administration. So I don't know what happened to the other half of that money. It's very strange that he's only received half of it, even though it's been signed off over there. But yeah, so it's just, we shouldn't be funding this at the end of the day. And that's what Trump's whole thing is. And Trump's basically saying, like he said in the past, there's no winners in war. Liberals take the path of, we need to side with Ukraine. They need to win. What Putin did was bad. He should have never invaded. At this point, unless there's really no way Ukraine can win this. Like Putin needs to concede, obviously, but this just needs to end. There's too many innocent people just dying. And like they mentioned in this video, Zelensky's been having trouble recruiting people to the military. Personally, I think if you're at war and you want to save your country, I think many people would voluntarily sign up to try to save their country if they respect the leader leading them. Like already it's been shown that in January, the military in America had more signups than it's had in years voluntarily because people like the direction Trump is taking us versus Biden. If they really felt like Zelensky was the guy to lead them out of this war, they'd be voluntarily signing up, but they're not. And I think that shows the confidence some people have. Here's another video talking about basically his suit.
Second question.
My second question for President Zelensky.
No. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting.
I don't have such.
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one,
Maybe something like
like
this.
yours.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
That'd be great.
maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than Thank you. Thank you for.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like when you're going to see the president of the United States, especially when you're asking for basically a blank check, you would think you would dress a little better. I think that's the biggest issue a lot of people have when it comes to that. This is about, I think, about what summed up the end of it, where it kind of
He
finishes
wants
here.
to make a deal. I don't know if he can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough.
So basically, the deal they're talking about, they're supposed to agree to some deal where we get some kind of minerals for that specifically in the Ukraine region that we can use, to make whatever we're going to make with it. And that's a part of, I think, in return, we continue to support them. But they didn't even get to that point because Zelensky ended up leaving like right after. They're supposed to have another press conference later on, and Trump's basically saying we need this deal, and then we'll help you out. Like, because at the end of the day, we've been blindly helping this country, and it's one, it hasn't even gotten any better, and two, this is our tax dollars going over there, and we're not getting anything out of it. Like, I don't want my money going to other countries. So this is the statement Trump made after everything on True Social. We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversations under such fire and pressure. It's amazing that comes out through emotion, and I've determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage. I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He came back when he can come back when he's ready for peace. So, and that's a big thing when it comes to this whole war, is that when Biden, the whole Biden administration, the liberals, even a lot of conservatives too support this war, constantly want to fund it, constantly want to throw money at it, weapons, all this stuff, but none of them ever talk about how it's going to end, when it's going to stop. None of them ever actually talked about it. And that's what Trump wants to do. Trump wants to put an end to it. Now, I saw this clip. I don't know if this is the true translation. I can't even really hear him saying it, but this will be interesting if that's what's going on here. So let's listen to this.
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a prop.
So apparently he muttered under his breath the word suka, which is Russian for this. So that's interesting if that's true. It's kind of hard to hear what he said, but that's kind of messed up. You're coming over here begging for money, and then you're going to say that about the sitting vice president, and then complain and play victim. Like, yeah, that's wrong. So, like I said, if someone maybe knows the translation of that, you know a Russian person, you can get them to translate. But what I find fascinating is when it came to this whole meeting, is that even people like Lindsey Graham, who is basically a warmonger, has fully supported this whole Ukraine war the whole time, wants to fund it nonstop, one of those neoconservatives, is actually against Zelensky on this. So listen to what he has to say.
I met with Zelensky this morning. I urged him to stay on message, be grateful, be thankful. We'll talk about details of security guarantees later. Keep it upbeat, keep it positive. It was absolute, utter disaster. The question for me is he redeemable in the eyes of Americans? Most Americans witnessing what they saw today would not want Zelensky to be their business partner, including me, and I've been to Ukraine 9 times since the war started. I met with him this morning. President Trump I talked to last night, he was upbeat about the deal. I've never been more proud of President Trump for showing the American people in the world you don't trifle with this man. He was very positive. He was very upbeat. He wanted to get a ceasefire. He wants to end the war. And Zelensky felt like he needed to bait Trump in the Oval Office. JD was awesome.
Yeah, so basically Lindsey Graham said what Zelensky did was wrong, which, I mean, almost act like a spoiled child, almost not getting his way. You don't get to just come to America and just say you're entitled to all this because you exist. And that's basically what he was doing. And obviously, Trump isn't going to put up with it like Biden did. He's not going to put up with the guilt trip and feeling bad. And he's going to look at it a more logical way than Biden would. So now let's get to what people are saying about all this. And I'm going to pull up some of your favorite TikTokers. So first is Chris Mowry. He says, after watching Trump in the Oval Office attack Zelensky, I feel nothing but embarrassment. I'm embarrassed as an American. To the rest of the world, we're so sorry. Yeah, none of us are sorry. That's just you. There's nothing wrong with what happened there on Trump's side. Trump wants to get, if he comes off rude, he always sounds rude. But I mean, I don't think it said anything wrong. And if you're embarrassed to be an American, I mean, you make good money off TikTok. Just go move somewhere else. I think these people that are ashamed to be Americans should go move to Ukraine and go fight in that war, since they want that war going on so bad. Harry Sisson, another one of your favorite TikTokers. The way that Trump and J.D. Vance just went after Zelensky in the Oval Office is a total embarrassment for the United States. They must like try to team up and see what to post together. That makes sense. They attack Zelensky, calling him a dictator, but praise Putin and label him as smart. Trump and Vance are trash. First off, they don't praise Putin. You can acknowledge that an evil dictator is smart. Like, how do you think they became an evil dictator? You don't do that being stupid. And Putin's absolutely a dictator, and Trump knows that. And Trump and Vance are trash. And then he posts this: Slava Ukraine. America stands with Zelensky. If you're on the side of Putin and his dictatorship, you don't love America. As simple as that. See, this is one thing that people don't understand is you can be against Putin and against Russia while also saying we shouldn't be sending hundreds of billions of tax dollars to Ukraine. You can be for neither side. Just like with Israel, Gaza, like I personally am not for either side. That's another conflict I don't think America should be involved in, just like this one. You can do both. Like these people think like, oh, because you won't send Ukraine billions of dollars of weapons, you automatically support Russia. No, it's not our issue. It's not our war. It's not our problem. It doesn't affect us. This person had an interesting comment on it. Mike Levin. My grandfather in the greatest generation didn't fight in World War II to see our country side with the murderous thugs like Putin. This is a disgrace. Interesting about World War II, I commented right here. We only got involved in World War II because Japan bombed us. Before that, Germany was doing its thing for years, and we didn't do anything because it wasn't our war. It wasn't until Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and Japan and Germany were on similar sides. That's when we're like, okay, you just destroyed our military base. Now we have to do something. Now we have to fight back. Before that, we left it alone because it wasn't our conflict. That was Europe's conflict. And that's what we should be doing now. Another one of your favorite people, Nancy Pelosi. It would have been a show of strength for the United States to bring the elected leader of Ukraine to the Oval Office and engage with him in a dignified way. It's interesting she said elected leader because he's actually refused to hold elections for like 2 years now. So by that argument, you know, Putin's an elected leader too. So that's not really a good thing to say there. But you would never know that after President Trump's shameful display. Putin must be overjoyed with today's theatrics. It's funny because Putin actually wanted Kamala to win the presidency. Isn't that interesting? Following the U.S. vote in alignment with Russia at the United Nations this week, a disturbing pattern has emerged that is contrary to the Americans' long saying. That vote was just all just for show. That vote didn't mean anything. The vote didn't matter. It didn't care. All the votes could have been green, and then Russia would have been the one red. And guess what? The war still would have been going on. Everything would have been the same. That was the ultimate virtue signaling. So this is Zelensky leaving the
This is
White House.
really pretty incredible. We see the
Jackie,
SUV,
hang on with us one
Zelensky's
moment.
SUV.
If you look to your left, you're going to see.
So they were supposed to have a press conference afterwards, and then it got canceled because they couldn't come to an agreement. So then I guess he's just dipping back to Ukraine. I'm not sure what he's doing now. Maybe he'll go to a European country and beg for money. So a few things I want to add on to this too is that, one, all these people crying about Ukraine probably can't even point it out on a map. Two, probably doesn't even know what the capital of Ukraine is. And three, Ukraine is known for being a corrupt country. Like right here, ranks 104 out of 180. It's crazy. Countries like Albania, Argentina, Belarus literally sided with Russia at the beginning of this war and helped Russia invade Ukraine, is less corrupt than Ukraine. That's insane. They have a score of 36 out of 100. 36 out of 100 is how bad of corruption Ukraine is. Like it's insane. And like literally liberals will say Hungary is a horrible dictatorship. They're 6 points higher than Ukraine. They're less corrupt than Ukraine. This country that liberals always say is bad. Liberals say Poland is bad. Less corrupt than Ukraine. It's funny how that works out, right? We all just forget that like Ukraine has always been this corrupt country, and because the media tells us we need to side with them. And another thing too is, like I said earlier in this video, Zelensky literally campaigned for Trump's opponent. Like if you want money as a leader of another country, right? You're not going to care who gets in office in the United States because you're going to want to make either of them happy enough to give you money. So if you go around, one, if you have such a bad war, why are you going on the other side of the world campaign for another leader? Weird. And then two, you're going to say, oh, I don't want Trump. I want Kamala. And then Trump gets in there. What do you think is going to happen? You just actively campaigned against him. Like he went to Pennsylvania. I don't know if you guys remember this. You remember him and Josh Shapiro signed these missiles that's going to be used to kill innocent people? Yeah. Ooh, cheering on. Yay, war. That's what we do. We love war. So, yeah, this whole meeting is probably pointless at the end of the day. Probably got nowhere. I don't think, regardless of where we're going to get these minerals, I don't think we should blindly be funding a war. I feel the same way. I know Trump likes to support Israel. I don't agree with that one either. Because at the end of the day, what happens in war is you have one government that wants to conquer another government, and all that happens is innocent people get killed in the battlefield. That's all that war is. All these innocent soldiers that are probably getting drafted to those militaries that just want to live their normal lives with their family are dying. So this war needs to end. As of right now, it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. I don't know how Ukraine's going to be able to fight without American funding. I guess maybe Europe's going to have to uptick their share because a lot of European countries are trying to say like now they support it and they want to help Ukraine, which I will say, I've been saying for years, Europe doesn't contribute enough. Like I think like 27 countries that are in the European Union contribute about the same as us. So 27 countries equally contribute as to one country. Not fair. And especially because the war affects them way more than it affects us. So it was definitely an interesting meeting and an interesting day between Trump and Zelensky. Make sure you comment down below what you guys thought of this whole situation and what you think is going to happen going forward. Subscribe to the channel, follow all my other pages, and I'll see you next time.